Hello everyone, it's Mari here for Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to be creating a card today using the gorgeous On the Line Succulent stamp set and coordinating dies. I love how this stamp set works. I'm going to be showing you some ways that you can use this today. It's a really fun set with a bunch of really great sentiments, and of course the coordinating die set not only cuts out those succulents, but it also cuts out all of the sentiments that are part of this set as well. So really love this. I'm going to be using an A2 size top folding card base today, and I'm also going to be using a piece of acetate, and my acetate is cut to match the size of my A2 size card front, so 5.5 by 4.25. I'm just going to show you here how the coordinating dies can cut out that bottom of the succulent so that you can create that on a line, and you can also cut out the top portion of that die or of that stamp as well. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can use these. You can completely cut out that piece, or you can use it in the way that I'm going to be using it here today. So I've just taken a piece of low tack tape and taped my card base down to my glass mat, and now I'm just going to take the one coordinating die here and I'm going to tape it onto my card front using again some low tack tape. And what this is going to do is it's going to release the bottom portion of my card front here and just leave that top portion, and that's where I'm going to do the stamping of that succulent. So it'll make a little bit more sense here once I have the die cutting done, but right now I'm just making sure that I have this really straight on my glass mat here, using my grid lines on the mat to line the die up. And here I'm just going to take that low tack tape off. I'm going to open the card base up and put it through my die cutting machine open. And now you'll just see how I have that die cut piece here that coordinates perfectly with the stamp. I'm going to put that into my MISTI, and I'm going to line up the stamp and stamp it out with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This is a really nice slow drying black crisp ink, and I wanted to use the ink with a little bit of clear embossing powder. So I'm just inking up the stamp here. I'm going to close my MISTI door onto my card base here, and it's just going to stamp out that really beautiful succulent image onto that area that I've die cut. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of clear embossing powder over top of that stamped image. That embossing powder is going to stick to that wet black ink, and now I'm just going to take my heat tool and melt the embossing powder. This is the Apple Karin marker. The Karin markers are a really great water-based marker to color with. I'm using them in coordination with a sparkle pen. You can use your clear Wink of Stella or whatever type of sparkle pen you have. I'm just picking up some of that pigment that I've scribbled out onto my glass mat with the sparkle pen, and I'm just going to drop the pigment into those embossed little areas there to color my project. So I'm just showing you the colors of the inks that I'm using from the Karin markers. I will list these in the description box below, but again, you can just see how I dip my sparkle pen into the pigment and just tap it into the area there. And I'm just using regular cardstock. This is 100-pound regular cardstock. It's not watercolor paper. It's nothing fancy. It's just regular cardstock. And I'm just using a little darker blue. This is turquoise, and I'm just using it to darken up the blue a little bit and just add a little bit of depth and shadow. So you can just see I'm layering the colors, the darker color onto the lighter color. Again, just taking a little bit of the pigment onto the brush and tapping it into the area there. So I have sped this up, but it's just a very repetitive process. It's the same thing over and over again, just picking up that pigment with a sparkle pen. And the fun thing about the sparkle pen is that it's adding some sparkle to the card, to the colored areas, at the same time that it's also adding the pigment. So it's really fun to use the sparkle pen in that way. And whether it's the Spectrum Nora sparkle pen or a Wink of Stella, any type of pen that you have that's got that little bit of clear mica material in it, it's really fun to color with these pens. And so you can just see all of the different colors I'm using. I'm going to darken up my green a little bit with this really beautiful green here. This one is called Ocean Teal, and it's layers really pretty over top of that lime green. I really like that, and you can just see how gorgeous that is when it's all finished. So now I'm going to take my acetate that I showed you earlier, and I'm just going to add some tape runner to the top portion of the card, and I'm going to lay that acetate onto the back of the card base here, and I'll just fold over that flap that we've already colored onto the acetate so that that'll stick to it. And what we're going to do here is create a little window, a clear acetate window on the front of our card. So that is now all adhered together. And now what I'm going to do is prepare the bottom portion of the card. So I'm going to take that piece of cardstock that was cut away when I die cut the top piece, and I'm just going to lay that in place, and I'm going to take the coordinating die for the second succulent image, and I'm just going to just show you how this lines up perfectly with the stamp. I'm just going to take that over to my paper. So this is going to cut the top of that second image. I'm going to tape that onto my cardstock just like I did for the top of the card, die cut that out, stamp it, heat emboss it, and again color it just as I did for the top, using exactly the same colors of the Karin markers. The Karin markers are available in the Honeybee shop, and I will link up to those markers in the description box below. They are a really fantastic marker to have in your stash. I love them so much. So this is the Thinking of You coordinating sentiment from that set. And you can see all of the different sentiments that are part of this set. It's a really great set. I like this one. It's really versatile. You can use it in a lot of different ways. And so I've stamped and heat embossed and die cut that Thinking of You sentiment. And now I'm just going to add my tape runner to the back of it and adhere it into that window area. That's that acetate that's going to be part of our card front. I really think that's a fun type of card to make. It's a little bit different, and it works really, really well with this on the line succulent. I'm going to be using some Marvelous Moments and Vitamin C gems in blue and green to embellish my project, and that is going to finish it off. I've linked up to everything I used today, friends, in the description box below. So if you want to find any of these products in the Honeybee shop, you can just click those links. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.